All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started. I'd like to welcome everybody to the November membership meeting for St. Genevieve Chamber of Commerce. First of all, while you guys are finishing up your food, would you like to take a look at the minutes? And after doing so, I'd entertain a motion for approval.
I so move.
Moved by Betty. Do I have a second? Second by Linda. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All right, thank you. Next up, do we have any, other than our speakers, do we have any new guests with us today that'd like to be introduced? Yeah, go ahead.
This is Jeanette. She's our mortgage loan officer at U.S. Bank. I'd like to welcome her to the chamber.
Welcome. Thank you, guys. I have a few announcements to make, and then we will get to our program. First off was the Scarecrow Spectacular. Thanks for everyone that participated. The winners were: first place went to the St. Jane Care Center, second place to Citizens Electric, third place to the Prosecuting Attorney's Office, and honorable mention to Kathy Waltz. Thanks again for everybody that participated. Next up, we have the 2012 Santa's Holiday Bash in December. That event takes place here at the Community Center. It's free for all kids, and it's going to be on Saturday, December 8th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. We will be sending out sponsorships letters in the next couple weeks for that event, so look for those in the mail.
Brad, I also understand you're looking for volunteers.
Yes, anyone that would like to volunteer, if you can't sponsor or you're available that day, you're welcome to get a hold of us and we'll find something fun for you to do. It ranges on the year, but we see anywhere between 300 and 500 kids in that 3-hour span, so it's really great. And up next, we have the planning is underway now for the 2013 Summer Music Series. And again, we'll be looking for sponsorships at some point for that, so stay tuned for that. And starting on Monday, November 26th, we are going to start our campaign for the community profile. Anybody that doesn't know what that is, these are the past 2 profiles that we've done for our community. If you want to take time afterwards, I'll leave these on the desk. You guys can take a look at them. But you will be contacted by Community Link to if you'd like to participate. Anybody that's done it in the past obviously gets first right of refusal for any of their ads. And do you have anything else, Dina, on that?
No, not
You'll get a letter in the mail, and then you'll either be contacted in person or by phone, and to set up a meeting time and discuss that.
the letter is actually signed by Brad and I, so it is a fully endorsed chamber product.
Yeah, because we know you guys get called a lot, and sometimes the chamber name is used, and this one you'll see with the letter that it's legitimately endorsed by our Chamber of Commerce. So the other announcement I have is we do not have a meeting in December or January, so our next membership meeting will be in February. And now we can move on to our program for today. First up, we have Life Incorporated Employment Solutions. The Life Center is an independent living center based in Farmington that serves the counties of St. Genevieve, St. Francis, and Madison County. The center provides services and support programs to individuals with disabilities. Core services are advocacy, peer support, information, and referral and independent living skills training. Teresa Scherer is a native of St. Genevieve and has been working at the center for the past 12 years, serving individuals with disabilities by assisting them to transition into employment, understanding the changes in state and federal benefits as consumers acquire income from work to become self-sufficient. The newest program at the Life Center is offering its Social Security's Ticket to Work program as an employment network. Life Inc. Employment Solutions is here today to bring awareness about the program, dispel myths, explain how they can assist you in finding qualified applicants, and offer available resources to employers. Teresa is the director of the program, and Candy Zarcone, employment and training coordinator, are both certified work incentive counselors. Life Inc. Employment Solutions looks forward to partnerships they may build in St. Genevieve. So at this time, I'll let Teresa take over and do her presentation.
Thank you. is going to be passing out the PowerPoint hard copy that we prepared for you guys today. In addition, we have some additional information over at the table afterwards. You're more than welcome to take some of that and use it as resources. Again, I want to stress that the Life Center is an independent living center, and we serve people with disabilities. So our newest program, Employment Solutions, is a full-service employment network for beneficiaries of Social Security. The best candidates for our services, they're going to be individuals who are on SSI and or Social Security disability, meaning they've met the definition of Social Security and of disability. They are between the ages of 18 and 64, and they're interested in employment for purposes of trying to transition off of benefits. Over the past 12 years, I've assisted a lot of individuals who work on a part-time basis, and some have worked off of benefits into gainful employment. And that's the goal of the Employment Network. We do serve 12 counties, but by request, we can serve anyone in the state of Missouri. And we want everybody to know that it pays to work. A lot of times consumers have concerns about going to work. They're afraid that they're going to lose their benefits right away before they can be substantially financial or in gainful employment. So we're here to talk about that. Some of the key services that we provide as a Employment Solutions Network, we're different than a lot of agencies out there assisting individuals with disabilities find employment because we have 3 certified Social Security work incentive counselors, which when you're on benefits, that's very key to know how to utilize those work incentives that are offered and how to transition smoothly into gainful employment. So we have myself, Candy, and Denise Shimwig, who is also an experienced youth transition specialist, and she comes to us with 30 years of teaching experience, and she comes from the Farmington High School, retired now, but she's with our program, so we're very happy to have her, as well as Candy. Part of the other services that we can provide, we can help with career exploration. We can help someone with building their resume, polishing their interview skills. We assist on the job with job coaching if that's necessary. And we have our own learning lab where we have computers set up as a workstation available to job seekers who are out there looking for employment. They have the opportunity to come and use the computers to do job searches, maybe build their resume right there with the assistance of us as we are right there in the office with them. In addition, we also have other services that the Life Center can provide should they need additional supports in addition to the employment aspect. Sometimes there are assistance needs with job accommodations. We can help not only guide the employer or the employee, but also the employers who hire individuals with disabilities with various suggestions depending upon the disability that that individual may have. So why should businesses hire individuals with disabilities? Well, the bottom line is, for businesses, is profit is your primary goal. So we at Employment Solutions, we want to serve our area businesses by supplying you guys with qualified candidates who are capable applicants who will increase your business revenue and your reduce your costs. And we can look at various ways of doing that, but if we can send you qualified applicants, then part of your time that you would normally use in trying to find those qualified applicants is done for you. You don't have to have that expense of time and everything. So employing people with disabilities goes beyond profit. We can look at those people are not currently employed, so they're receiving those monthly checks, but when we get them to transition into employment, then they're working, they're spending their money back into the community, they've gotten off some of that state assistance, and federal assistance. And so that's a win-win situation. Not only is it contributing to the tax base within your own community, but the self-esteem of that disabled individual, the productivity that they're eager to work, they want to work, they're going to be there on time, and they're going to be good, productive employees for you. And we'll talk a little bit later, a little bit more about some of the percentages of a company that has hired individuals with disabilities and what that has done for their company. So businesses that employ people with disabilities, they turn some of those social issues into business opportunities. So it benefits the employer, but it also is a huge benefit for that particular consumer. What are some of the other benefits to employers to hiring people with disabilities? There's tax incentives out there for you guys. There's the work opportunity tax credit. That's up to $2,400 a year. And I believe that's for each individual disabled person that you would hire in your place of employment. There's small business tax credits out there up to $5,000. And there's also tax deductions if you need to remove architectural or transportation barriers to employ people with disabilities. There was a national survey done, and consumer attitudes about companies that hire people with disabilities, there are 92% of the American public view favorably to companies that hire people with disabilities. And in fact, 87 of them would prefer to give their business to businesses that hire people with disabilities. So that can be another win-win situation for employers. Some of the reduction in costs for the employers is, I mentioned earlier, employees with disabilities, given the opportunity, they want to work. Maybe they have had something happen to them over the years and they've worked their life and then they became disabled, and maybe they only went on benefits for a short period of time. Maybe it's a little bit more that we need to change the attitude out there, and we need to encourage people with disabilities to try to work, because Social Security has work incentives that afford that opportunity to test their ability to work, even if they've been on the rolls for 10 years or more. Okay, it doesn't matter how long they've been on the rolls. There's wonderful work incentives out there provided by Social Security that will help someone make that transition from being on benefits and basically having just that monthly check. And that's how they're living. If we can get some of these people transitioned off of benefits, what happens to the state? Well, the food stamps, they work their way off of food stamps. Sometimes they start beginning to pay more of their fair share if they're in HUD housing. Their SSI check typically goes down according to how much income they're making. So it's that transition process. It's when they transition back into full-time employment, or even if it's part-time employment, the community wins because they're not having to rely on those state benefits as much. And so it's just a win-win situation. Hiring people with disabilities is going to reduce the turnover rate that typical businesses see, because again, those individuals want to work. They're there because they know how hard it is to get a job. And if we can find placement for individuals, then they're going to be good employees for you. There was a company down in Greensboro, North Carolina, and Fortune magazine spotlighted them. And since that company started hiring individuals with disabilities, their employee turnover rate dropped from 80% every 6 months to less than 5%. That's tremendous. Their productivity rose 25% from 70 to 95. Their absenteeism, it dropped 15% from 20 to 5. And their tardiness dropped off to 0. That's because those people want to work, and given that opportunity, they are going to be good employees. There's also incentives out there to utilize some of the OJT programs, on-the-job training programs out there. In fact, states have a program that they would reimburse, if the consumer is eligible, of course, they can reimburse up to 50% of an employer's wages that they're paying to that employee, up to a $10 an hour position. There are some requirements, and that position has to be a full-time position, and they will pay up to 26 weeks, which is equivalent to 1,040 hours of on-the-job training for that business. All right, so there's fears with employees going to work or beneficiaries that we serve because they're afraid of losing that medical coverage. They're afraid of losing that check right away. Just as I'm sure there are fears with the employers out there. So I want to dispel some of those myths today for you. And some of the most common misconceptions out there are people with disabilities do not have the knowledge, the skills, or the abilities for the positions that you're trying to fill. When in fact, the American Community Survey, there are 2.3 million working age adults with disabilities who have a bachelor's degree or higher. And there's an additional 2.2 million currently in college. And many others have gone through the voc rehab system, and they also possibly could have relevant prior work experience. So we have a pool of talented individuals that are basically unemployed. We can look around in this room today, and we can see that we're all different people. And just because you have a disability doesn't set you aside and says that you can't work. They can work. And we all have strengths and weaknesses, and we need to focus on what we can do and then make some accommodations for the areas where we might have a weakness that's not as strong as maybe the next guy. But individuals with disabilities most definitely can add to your staffing needs. Another real big misconception is employees with disabilities, they have a higher absentee rate than employees without disabilities. And if we go back and I cite that company that Fortune magazine highlighted, we know that that's simply not true. In fact, they have a lower rate of absenteeism and less turnover than employees without disabilities. And why? It's because they want to work. They're going to be there. They might have some barriers initially of getting to and from the job. We can assist with that. We can assist in guiding them to the needs that they have to make that transition into employment. Rutgers University, they show that there's better attendance records and longer tenures, which directly is going to relate to increased productivity and revenue for the businesses, because you guys aren't out there having to retrain people who just stay for a year, who just stay for 2 or 3 years. These are going to be dedicated employees because they want to simply work. They want to get off benefits, but they need that avenue and that assistance to get there. Another big misconception is hiring people with disabilities is going to increase the work comp rate. Again, work comp is based on the type of business operation and the loss history and not the demographics of the employee. Okay? Another factor is businesses fear that it's going to increase their overall health care costs. And according to the National Employer Perspective Survey, most large and medium-sized businesses, they report no significant increase in cost with additional employees that have disabilities. So awareness, we need to refocus and re-educate the general population and move forward from there. So in looking at the percentage of individuals with a disability, the 2010 census shows us that 18% of our population have a disability. And if we did not employ those, would we want an 18% unemployment rate? I don't think anybody would want that. So we know that America works best when everybody's working. So that's our goal as an employment network. We want to strive to help solve that problem. So getting down to why should you hire people with disabilities? Well, we believe it's the smart thing to do, it's the right thing to do, and it will be the profitable thing for you to do. And quickly, I want to talk about a couple of businesses that are leading the way. Walgreens. In 2007, it opened up its 14th, not its first, but its 14th distribution center in South Carolina. More than 40% of the facility's workforce has a physical or cognitive disability, such as autism or mental retardation. And the company's goal is to fill 10% of their distribution center with jobs with people with disabilities. And they're almost there. Another big business is Lowe's. And after they heard the accolades of Walgreens hiring significant numbers of disabled workers, I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name, it's there on the PowerPoint for you. But this gentleman, Steve, he wondered if Lowe's could do something similar to that. So he traveled down to South Carolina and he visited that distribution center where he saw hundreds of disabled people employed. And to quote him, he was blown away by the culture and by what they were doing. He walked away from there saying, this isn't charity, it's about finding people with talent. And that's what we want to help you guys do too, is find those talented people out there that we could assist. So Lowe's currently employs 62 disabled workers at the facility in Pennsylvania. And Steve has learned through employing those people that we don't need to treat them any different. We don't want to lower our standards. We need to have the same job expectations for them, but we need to be flexible. So in being flexible, we need to keep our expectations the same. We need to maybe provide some accommodations or maybe some elaborate instruction. But when you're training someone new, you're going to spend some quality time with that person because you want them to do the job right. So oftentimes you might have to tweak something or maybe present what you want that person to do in a somewhat different fashion. Like if there's a 4-step process to something that needs to be done, you might have to explain it or show it in a different way or use a 6-step process. Making those small accommodations can make all the difference in the world, and you end up having a talented work pool. And then another reason why we're here today, we want to find some good partners. We want to put these people back to work. And we want to make sure it's a good fit for the businesses as well as the applicant, which is the employee or the consumers that we're serving. One of the gentlemen from Lowe's, he has a optic nerve disease, and to quote him, he said everybody wants to provide for their family, and people with disabilities are no different. So he feels that it's a tremendous thing that he can do for his family, and I totally agree. And he wants people to know they're not liabilities. In fact, they're assets. And he said that they work just as well as anyone else. In his mind, better. So go away from today with some of those thoughts in your mind and If you know somebody out there that is on SSI or is on SSDI, maybe they have no knowledge that they can even go back to work. Refer them to us. Help us to be a good partner with you guys here in St. Genevieve County. And let's look at people in terms of the ability that they have and not the disability. And if there's a job opening within your own business, you could make that referral to us. We could sit down and go over the benefits with that consumer. We'll verify their current benefits. We'll see what the job is going to pay. We'll talk about how they can get from point A to point B, and we'll make sure that it's a good job fit. We're going to send you good qualified candidates. So again, anybody that you know that might be receiving benefits that needs some basic information or would like to transition off of benefits, that's our targeted population. Okay, and this is all an effort with Social Security's Ticket to Work program. Okay, Social Security funded 2 different programs for about 12 years, and I worked under those programs. We started out just getting out the information, then it got to be more of let's get people to work. Now that program is done, and our center has taken on board to continue the efforts by being an employment network, to continue this effort to help people get back into the workforce. So again, thank you guys for your time and allowing us, Candy and I, to come over and share this information with you. There's information on the table, and I apologize if I went over 10 or 15 minutes, but it's a lot of information, and I could talk all day on it, really. So again, thanks for your time.
If anyone has any questions for Teresa, they can meet with them after the meeting today. We kind of have a 2-part presentation today, all about basically education and how it can work for your business. So our next speaker is Denise Bader. She is in her 8th year at St. Genevieve High School and in her 4th year of the SBE program, which is what she's here to talk to you about today. She's a graduate of SEMA with a BS in Major Business Education, an MA in Secondary Education Business, and currently pursuing a Specialist in Education Leadership degree. So I will let Denise come on up and give some more information about her program and how it can hopefully work for you.
Thank you for the invitation. As she said, this is my 4th year as SBE coordinator, and I pretty much idolized Jeannie Canaday as she started the program. It's not a new program. It's been around for several years. Many of you might remember it as the COE program, Cooperative Office Education. It's the same program, new name. That's just what the state does to us all the time. In a nutshell, it is a program where students who have had business classes can leave the school 1 to 2 hours a day, depending on their grade, and they go work out in business offices. It can't be just, scanning items at the grocery store. It has to be more office related. And in addition to that, they have to take courses that tie in with that. So as an example, if I'm a junior, I can be an SBE and I can leave school 1 hour a day to work, but I have to take the Business Tech 1 class. If I'm a senior, I have to take Business Tech 2, but I can go to work for 2 hours a day. If I'm a senior and it's my 1st year in the program, I have to take Business Tech 1 and Business Tech 2, and then I can leave school 2 hours a day to work. We have students employed in banks, offices in nursing homes. We've had students in medical records at the hospital, insurance companies. We have a student currently at the community center. We've had partnered with you guys for several years. At one time, the chamber office had an SBE student. So that's kind of it all in a nutshell. I put together a brochure that gives you some more specifics as far as the goals of the program. We need, again, to be able to have our kids, just like your clients, transition from school to work. So they take the academic knowledge and the skills that they've learned in high school and they go apply it on the job. In addition, they learn new workplace skills, those new things that you all have that you can teach them that are going to help them, hopefully, with a related career in the future. They'll learn more about the particular industry that they're working in. It builds their confidence. I can remember an advisory committee meeting that we had one summer, and we invited a student and a parent to come back. And I had this student as a freshman and sophomore, and she was so timid, so very quiet. And her mom made the comment at this meeting, I have just seen her blossom, and I think it's because of SBE. She said she can go out now and she can give a presentation to people that she's never seen before in her life. She's just so much more confident, and she said, I think that's probably the biggest benefit that she got from the program. So that's an added advantage. And then oftentimes, maybe they're not sure about their career pathway, and it kind of helps them make that decision. I have a student right now who wants to go into nursing. Well, she wanted to do SBE. So, well, I can't put you as a CNA because that's not business. So she's working with the activities director at the care center, and she's using her business skills and designing the activities, putting together the bulletin board with their birthdays each month. Last year, the student that was there started this wonderful newsletter. Jill Roth even sent me a copy and said, you need to take this and show them. But the student last year set it up and designed it, and this year's student is continuing that tradition with that newsletter. So those are some of the goals of the program. I kind of scattered throughout the brochure some quotes from former SBE students, current SBE students, and even some of the employers that we're currently working with. As far as the benefits, I just kind of outlined there for the students and the employers. Hopefully it will reduce the turnover rate and your training costs, because they should go in and at least have some basic knowledge, especially of things like Word, Excel, Access, PowerPoint. I've had employers tell me they came in and they taught me how to do this, and this. So, you know, those kids, they pick up on it just like that. It also yields public relations benefits, furnishes screening, selection, and recruitment services, because I kind of try to weed them out before I even send them out for the interview. And then you also have an opportunity to help shape our curriculum. You can tell us, these are the things that they need. These are the things that they're lacking. I wish they knew more of this. So that's a benefit for us as well. Employer expectations, they need a variety of tasks and experiences. It's not a good situation where all they do is go in and file for 2 hours. They need to be able to do some planning, schedule appointments, handle phone calls, screen phone calls, work with, develop their computer skills even further than what they already have. So the variety is important. The state also requires in this program that the employer pay at least minimum wage, and they have to be employed a minimum of 10 hours a week, and that's in order to get the 1 credit of high school credit. A lot of times what the employers will do is they'll have the students, if they can only get, let's say it's a junior and they only go for 7th hour, so they get just that 1 hour in, they may have them stay till 5 o'clock and get the additional hours in that way. Another requirement is the student has to be employed for the full school year. So unless there's a major problem. If this student is not working out and they're not pulling their weight, that's a whole different story. But as far as just saying, oh, well, we don't need you anymore, I can't, like, at this point in time say, okay, it's November 1st and you can't use them. I can't put them in a classroom right now and expect them to understand what that teacher has taught since August. So it has to be a full year, school year program. Payroll deductions, discrimination laws, all of those things are a part of the program as well. And then the employer gives the quarterly grade to the student. So there's an evaluation form that goes out. It has different criteria on it, and they determine, you know, again, what does that student do really well and what do they need to work on. And then the idea is the employer discusses this with the student, just like you would any other employee during their performance evaluation. And hopefully they work on that and fix those things and do better next quarter. And typically, most of the students do really well. I think I've had one situation in 4 years where we kind of had to sit down and have a little discussion. It didn't result in a termination, but we were able to work it out because we caught it right away. How to get started if you are interested in having an SBE student. It's best if you can let me know around February or March, because that's when the students start applying for the program. I evaluate the applications, call them in, try to find out what their interest area is. Is it in banking? Is it in parks and recreation? What is their field? So one of the other problems I've had is there was one year I had somebody call me the day before school started, and they wanted an SBE student. Well, we live on such a strange schedule. It's different. We just don't have the flexibility when it comes to changing a student's schedule. So to try to find somebody that quick and then say, okay, well, we gotta pull them out of college algebra 6th hour so they can go to work then, which means they need college algebra 3rd hour, but wait, they can't do college algebra 3rd hour because they have to have business tech 1 because they're in SBE. You're not gonna be able to do the SBE program, you know. So it's just, certain classes are only offered certain hours, and it's just really, really hard to change a schedule. And the counselors and the administration, they're not real happy when I have to do things like that at the last minute. The other thing is, if the student has been sitting in the classroom, let's say since August, if I went in today and said, hey, I found another SBE spot, it wouldn't work because I can't pull them out now and then adjust their entire school day around that one class. So after the school year starts, it's very, very difficult. The other thing you would have to decide is if you want them in the morning or the afternoon. I do have a couple of morning spots. Most of the employers prefer to have them in the afternoon so they can stay till 4 or 5 o'clock to get their hours in. And that's great, but one has to consider that a lot of our athletes have to be back at school at 3 o'clock for practice. So if you say you only want morning, you really cut out a really good list of clients, not just the athletes, but kids that are involved in other organizations. Those are typically your kids who are the leaders and the dedicated ones that want to get involved. So if we could do a morning program and do, say, 1st and 2nd hour, that works out really well too. I do have 2 students doing that currently. Once I have the paperwork, or once we've decided that you want to be part of the program, I get the paperwork from the students, kind of scan those applications, and then I send information to the employer. Here are 2 or 3 students that I think might be a good fit. Which ones, or do you want to interview all of them? I'll send them out, set up the interview at a convenient time for the employer. Student comes back, employer then calls me and says, I think I want Susie. And then I'll contact Susie and we start getting all the paperwork ready. So you choose the one you want. I don't, I kind of narrow it down and pick the ones that I think are a good fit. If we still don't find any, I'll go try to find somebody else. One thing that I do want to stress is the goal of the program. I had an employer last year who loved this student so much and was just so amazed with this student's work that she graduated and they kept her on. So I lost that spot for this year. I guess it's a good problem to have, that we've got kids out there that the employers want to keep. But the goal of the program is to make it so that everybody gets a chance. Every year we can fill those spots again and again. So if you choose to keep them on after graduation, that's great, but then the future students don't get to participate in that area. Couple of examples. Josh Gettinger, I put a quote in here. I knew that he had his degree in accounting and finance. I knew he was still at the Bank of Bloomsdale, but I didn't know his position. And when he emailed me, I was like, oh my gosh, Josh was just here like last year doing SBE, and he's now assistant vice president at the Bank of Bloomsdale, and he did SBE at the Bank of Bloomsdale. I got an email last week. Sheila Staffen took several, I think she took Accounting 1 and Accounting 2. She did her SBE program at the St. Genevieve Care Center, and she is now their full-time bookkeeper. So it's very rewarding for me. Those kids really appreciate it, and it really helps shape their future. So did I answer any questions that you thought you might have? Or are there any you can think of now?
No, there'd be a test.
Well, what do you
So what is the curriculum for the
For Business Tech 1, it's filing, it's telephone. We spend a huge amount of time on the whole job search process. And they go through everything from how to fill out the application, putting together the resume. They do a mock interview. They did how to write an acceptance or rejection letter, how to write a resignation letter. So they went through the whole process. That one takes a long time. We also do a rotation where they do some transcription, some 10-key calculator, a lot of integrating of other academic areas, math, English, and so forth, a lot of writing, communication skills. They do have to do presentations. Business Tech 2 is more, it's more hands-on in terms of the computer, more Excel, more Access, more PowerPoint, more Publisher. They learn Dreamweaver, how to create a website. So it's, like I said, it's more hands-on. But even before they get to that point, they have to have had other business classes. So if a student comes in and says, I'd like to do SBE, and I think I want to go to the bank. I know you had somebody at Bank of Bloomsdale or whatever. The first thing I'm going to ask is, well, have you had accounting? And go back and look at that, because those would be the best kids to put there. Or maybe they've had word processing, or maybe they've had computer applications. Computer apps is more Excel and Access. So they've got to have a little bit of basics before they can get into the Business Tech 1 and 2, and thus the SBE program. Other questions? Okay, my contact information is on here. So like I said, if you decide that you would like an SBE student, try to give me a call February, March, and then that's when we start setting up interviews and getting things moving. Thank you so much for your time.
Again, if you have any questions for Denise after the meeting, I'm sure she'll be happy to address them for you. Is there any other business before I go on? Okay. Just one quick thing on your calendar, if you're interested, there is a free press release training November 5th at 7 p.m. at the PACP room. It is in conjunction with the Tourism Advisory Council and Mississippi River Hills Association. It's free to the public, space is limited. So if you're interested, contact Stephanie Bell or Lisa Palmer for your RSVP. It's just a great opportunity for us to get some training in your hands for press release information for any event that you take part in, whether it's yourself personally or any company or business that you are working with. So if you want, that's November 5th at 7 p.m. I don't have anything else. If no one else has any other business, I can call for a motion for adjournment then.
All right, who would like to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Martin, second.